All right, average and best cornhole back again, and today we have some all cornhole bags. And all cornhole, as you guys have probably seen, is kind of making quite a big comeback in the industry. They're marketing very well. They're coming out with, they've rebranded, really putting their design out there, and we're kind of seeing them everywhere. So we were excited to pick up these bags and
spent some money on some big name pros.
Yep. And so today we have the Aura and the Phoenix. We're going to talk about.
As always, we're going to start off with the speeds, and both bags on the website are listed as a 6.9. Yeah, right. Herringbone is not a 6.
Not for us.
I'm sorry. I mean, 5, even brand new, maybe a 6, but not quite. And then the R carpet, on the Phoenix, I don't even think that's a 6, really. So
No.
5, 5.5, maybe, and then 9's on the fast side would be our guess.
Materials on these, and mostly just going to talk about the slow sides. And on the Phoenix, we have the tried and true Ard carpet, and then on the Auras, we have the also tried and true herringbone. And it seems like herringbone's kind of making a little bit of a comeback. They're pretty popular. I see a lot of people throwing these Auras and the Wizard L's.
Yeah, I mean, herringbone's been going on strong. It's a material that you gotta know how to throw it. You know, I don't think it's really material for beginners, sort of say, I guess.
I would agree, because if you go back and watch some of our original videos, I was not a herringbone fan when we first started doing all this, and it's grown on me.
Templates on both of these series are medium. Now the Phoenix, they are a little bit thicker than the Auras are, and they actually weighed a little bit more too. So that makes sense.
All right, get into the fill flop on these, and they both have a mixed fill, and we're pretty sure that the Auras have a little bit more flats in them. Neither bag is overly floppy. That's, I'm really enjoying that with these bags. The Phoenix has a nice flop to it without, just being over floppy. The Aura, it's a little bit floppier, but it's not getting as floppy as I expected, and it kind of fell right in between what we'd say between the Wizard and the Wizard L. I know there's a lot of people comparing this to the Wizard L. Is it the same bag or not? We have both, and maybe there's a little more break-in needed on the Aura, but it's not as floppy as the Wizard L.
Yeah, so it weighed more than the Wizard L. It actually weighed more up like what a Wizard would weigh. But it's almost, I went a deep dive on this. I feel like it probably has the Wizard L fill, just more of it.
Yeah.
And the regular Wizard fill, we all know, is different. It's more beads, and that's why they're a lot thicker.
Yeah.
But this is closer to the weight of the Wizard, but I think it has the Wizard L fill. Just my opinion from filling beads through a bag and comparing, but...
Yeah, we haven't cut them up or anything like that, so we could be wrong, but that's just our take on these and where those kind of fall in that comparison. Bagmanship on these, not going to go too much. All Cornhole's making a big comeback. They're, mass-produced bags, so they have all the professional CNC machines. We've not seen anything that we would knock on bagmanship. They came as expected. They're durable. They're holding up, and I think we can expect that with all of All Cornhole bags.
Forgiveness, and I wouldn't consider either one of these bags forgiving. I think they're both active bags.
Yeah.
The Phoenix was probably a little bit more forgiving than Aura, but the Aura, it does have herringbone. We know that's going to kick. And what was good about the Phoenix is that once I threw it a couple times, I saw the kick. I was able to play that in my natural throw. It was like a consistent kick to it. So I guess it is forgiving in that nature that it's going to be predictable what it's going to do. It wasn't going wild and crazy all over the place on me.
I don't have much to add to that. Herringbone's always been a struggle for consistency with me and forgiveness, but I'm getting better with it. And these Auras, that they were forgiving-ish, for what that bag is. So, I'll give it that. I think that fill that's in there really makes a difference and kind of helps not getting too strong of a kick that I've seen with a lot of herringbones. And the Phoenix, probably a little less forgiving than a lot of our carpets that we see like that. Maybe that's just because it is a little fuller with that mixed fill, so you are going to get that activity.
I think they purposely made an R carpet bag that is an active bag.
Yeah.
Compared to most of the ones on the market that are more forgiving and, easy to play. Whole bodiness on these and the Aurora, I mean, it's got whole bodiness as much as herringbone will allow it. It's a sticky fabric. It's not going to, have that drip if it's hanging. The Aurora does make up for that a little bit because we were saying, the bag is a little bit looser, so there is more room for the pellets to shift and move inside that bag when it does get near the hole. And then the Phoenix, I mean, they were pretty stiff right off the bat. Once we got them broken in, the whole bodiness definitely improved
Yep.
some, but it's a fuller bag. And the chances of a corner, drooping over as much to catch that hole is less than if you had a bag that was a little bit more floppier.
Yep. Collectability on these, the Aura, yes, they collect. With the herringbone, you do got to give it a little more extra, which could cause you to throw off. But if you hit your spot, they're going to grab and collect well. What I noticed with these and why I'm starting to kind of gravitate towards liking herringbone a little bit more is I feel like I'm improving my cut shots, but I've always had a bad habit of if I have one kind of up off to the hole, I always think I can collect it. I always try to get it, end up missing the board half the time. Yeah. But I was able to cut these so well that there was a lot of times I was grabbing that corner of that bag and bringing it over with me. And it's hard for me to do that with a lot of bags. And the herringbone, especially this Aura, I was doing it almost on command. It was
and if that bag that's off to the side is your first bag and you got 3 more chances to
nudge it over. Actually, that's exactly what I was doing pretty much. I would miss my first one a little bit off to the right, not past the hole, just kind of up on the edge and just nibble it over and eventually pull it in. And so as far as that, if you got that shot in your bag, that's a good nod on the collectability for the Auras. The Phoenix, I mean, they collected just fine. You hit your spot, they grabbed, they went. I think it's right in the middle of the road. I wouldn't say it's, going to be known for collecting, but it's not bad at collecting either, right?
Correct. So we'll touch on speed, consistency, just a little bit because we're all familiar with these materials. We personally, from our personal experience, think that herringbone is affected by humidity and different conditions that you play in. The Phoenix, definitely not. I think the R carpet, that's one of the things that it's known for is that it's going to play consistent through any condition you throw at it.
Yeah, the example I have of that is going back to, again, my worries with herringbone out of the gate. We really threw at camp a lot early on in us getting into cornhole. And we would start in the day and we'd go into night and the humidity and the dew would set in on the boards and I could not throw herringbone at that point. Once that night set and stuff, those to me, they dropped down to like a 3. I would just, great at putting up blockers, but that's all I could do. And I gravitated towards the R carpet. So when we had adverse humidity conditions, the R carpet was the clear winner, and it has been for me.
Yeah, it's probably because most people play indoors all the time now.
Right.
People don't experience this stuff outside.
Yeah, I agree. But now that we're only playing indoors in climate-controlled buildings, I have no issues with the herringbone.
We're starting to like regular OG carpet.
Right? Yeah, for real. So the conditions have a lot to do with these materials and how they work for you. Shots, and I'll start with the Aura, and it does all of them, right? You can do every shot with this Aura, and me and Craig are both really trying to get better at cornhole, get better at all these capable shots, and the Aura is great for that. It's definitely a big confidence builder. You're working on your cuts, it cuts, and if you throw the bag right, it cuts, it grabs that board, and it moves very well. More so than, I would say the Phoenix do with that R carpet. Now, these still pretty much have all the capable shots in them. Just not going to get quite as aggressive of an action on the board as you do with the Aura.
Yeah, I agree. I think AllCornhole made both of these series to be fully capable of rolling and cutting and, doing anything that like professionals can do with it. But they're helping, just average guys like us out doing the simple things like more direct cuts and whatnot.
Yeah.
So how will these bags make us better? And I think we kind of already stated on it, the Aura, it seems like the perfect balance with the herringbone and the fill in it. It is making us better at, cut shots and getting around stuff and actually throwing hard. That's a thing that's underestimated. A lot of the time, people don't throw cornhole bags hard, but having a slower fabric like that you get to play with a lot, it teaches you to put, a little bit more oomph into it to get through your push shot and, collect the bag you want to.
Yeah, that's big for somebody like me because throwing the fast side generally terrifies me because I miss, right? So I just picture it running off the back of the board, so I rarely throw the fast side unless it truly calls for it. But being, throwing the Aura, getting better at throwing a little bit harder has helped me kind of with all bags, really.
Yeah.
And the Phoenix, that's going to help you make it better because it's kind of a perfect balance of, really everything we're looking for. It has all the capable shots, but not being too aggressive. So you can work on your cut shots or a roll bag or, whatever you're working on without being overly punished if you miss. So a little bit of extra forgiveness in that with still having that capable shots is just kind of a really good balance, especially for a beginner or a learning player.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't too impressed with the Phoenix, but I think that's just me. It was just a little bit too full for me. Like, I guess I'm just used to, that hybrid slow side being floppy and, different bags with it. But it made me better because I did get used to it being a little bit fuller. And it doesn't even matter for me because that's Hudson's bags anyways, and he likes them. So that's all that matters.
Yep. The company information and all Cornhole is very easy to find. Their website's allcornhole.com. They also have a Facebook page that is also All Cornhole. And, they're marketing a lot right now. So if you're, in the cornhole space, you're seeing their advertisements, you're seeing people talk about them. They're kind of all over the place. Where they do kind of, have some advantage right now with their comeback is the designs. They got a lot of different designs on their website, and they're a lot of kind of broadcast edition bags, just their simple logo and stuff, which usually not a big fan of just the company's logo on there, but they seem to really be targeting some professionals with these bags, so I understand that. And I don't hate the logo, and I think they're doing a pretty good job with it.
It's almost like a company that excels in logo design bags bought them out, and is doing the design work now.
I wonder who that was. Nonetheless, they're doing a great job, and there's a lot of variety, and I don't think there's any availability issues. Every time I've hopped on there, I can order every design that they've shown available. And another thing that I like that All Cornhole's doing is they're really, putting their players' names out there, right? So this is Rye Guy's bag right here that we picked up, and I think that's pretty cool. I like seeing that. So, overall thoughts on these bags, and I'm going to talk about the Aura. And this bag's kind of been a home run for me because I've wanted to play herringbone. I've struggled with it. It's always turned off to me. I haven't found the one that kind of fits that niche spot that I like, and these fit right there. The Wizards were always too big, too unforgiving for me, and the Wizards got a little too floppy for me once they were fully broken in. I love the action of those bags, but now the Aura, like we said, fits right in between them. It's, feels like it has the Wizard L fill in it, but it's not as floppy as the Wizard L, and it's not as full and unforgiving as the regular Wizard. So that's right at the top of kind of, my herringbone tier list right now if I had one.
Yeah, it's like the Wizard's going to punish you every bad throw you have.
Yes.
This one won't. And then the Wizard L, the pros can manipulate the bag really good, but us, we can't really. So having a little bit more of that fill, helps our capabilities really.
And the Phoenix, overall, it's a good bag. Don't get us wrong at all. And I'm kind of with Craig on that. It does feel a little full, and maybe I'm just so used to playing a floppier version of that R carpet that I just didn't know what to do with it. It's a great bag, but it's overall not one that I'm probably going to be reaching for a whole lot. All right, that's all we got for today on the Phoenix and the Aura by All Cornhole. And if you're going to be average at something, be average at cornhole.